Hello friends, I welcome to all of you here in our this online program called Sages of Sin. We have also got a separate and different and unique name of this program in our native language. It is called or known as Mudat Anokhi. Viewers, I would like to tell you that my name is Munir Domki and I teach English literature to postgraduate class students, and I have been teaching English literature for more than a half decade. Well, I would like to also tell you that this our session is going to be the productive one, the informative one, the unique one, and the most significant in the sense that today we have brought a different theme of our lecture today, and it is a history of Sindhi literature. So in this today's session that we would look at the origin and evolution of Sindhi literature. We would discuss how and when Sindhi literature, began, and where do the roots of Sindhi literature lie, and what do the critics say about it. We would also enlighten you the term Sindh. What does it stand for, and what do we mean by it? We would also just aid in your knowledge that we would discuss with you the first period of history of Sindhi literature that commences from Arab's conquest of Sindh around 8th century, early 8th century. So these are the objectives that we will bring under discussion, but let me also just know you that which books we have referred for this lecture, and we would preferably refer those books to during this discussion. A wide range of books that we would be preferably referring, they are Sindhi Boli Adab Tarikh by Dr. Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch, Tarikh Sindh by Allama Sayyid Suleiman Nadwi, Sindhi Adab Mukhtasar Jaizo by Akbar Ligari, Sindhi Adab Mukhtasar Tarikh by Dr. Abdul Jabbar Jonejo, Sindhi Adab Tarikh Jaizo by Mema Abdul Majid Sindhi, Sindhi Adab Muqaddamo by Badr Dhamrao, and one other important book by Dr. Ghulam Ali Allana on history of Sindhi, language and literature. So this will be the range of the books that we will be referring for our today's discussion too. So let me tell you that we would also cast a brief glance at the history of Sindhi literature in terms of socio-political and where necessary. Even we would also be discussing religion and its impact on literature too. So about the roots, about the evolution, about the beginning of Sindhi literature, there is a lot of heated and unended debate among the historians, among the critics themselves too. One critic or historian says that Sindhi literature began from Arab conquest over Sindh in 8th century. The others opine that we need to trace back Sindhi language and literature even before the Arab conquest, and we should find the roots at Aryans, the most familiar tribe that came before even the birth of Jesus Christ and settled here in this part of the world. Still other historians or critics view about history of Sindhi language and literature and they claim too that we need to go back even bit earlier than the Iranian conquest over Sindh and Arabs conquest over Sindh, and we need to go from the very beginning of Sindhi literature too. So what does the term Sindh stand for, and how do we understand this term today even? So the term Sindh, Sindhu or Indus, these are the three names. Even more names than this could be said about this term. Refer to the area, to the region where Sindhis live, and they speak Sindhi language, and they have their own unique culture and nationality. About this term's evolution or history, critics are themselves divided too. According to some historians, some critics, that they say that the term Sindh came even before the Aryans. Aryans, the tribe that I mentioned, came before the birth of Jesus Christ and settled here. So it is difficult to get sense of national heritage, before even Aryans. So Aryans, generally critics, opine that Aryans were the first inhabitants of this part of the world, and they call the area or the country they all made their homes and hometowns. They call their country Sindhu. And they conquer the area even before the birth of Jesus Christ in Punjab, and that entire region was called as Sindhu or Sindh, and it was collectively called as a Sindh. Moving from this area, they went also to Ganga River side, and then they began to call this area and that area collectively, and they called it even Aryavart. Iranians, when before the even birth of Jesus Christ, they attacked Sindh. They were also of the view that they gave their different name to this region. They called it this part of the world. They called it Hind. Greeks even called it Ind. Latins also called this area with the addition of two other letters, Ye and Aleph, and they called it Andia. Later on, when English race conquered this area, subcontinent, around early 17th century, they began to call it India. So earlier, Sindh and Hind both were collectively called the same region, and other South Asian countries view this term Sindh. For example, the Sri Lankans and Thailandians, they call this area Andhra. The foreigners invading this territory, especially the English race, they came, the Britishers, they came and divided this subcontinent into two parts, Hind and Sindh. So this was a term, Sindh, that we got the understanding of it, that what does it stand for. Now let me take you to the other objective of today's program, and it is we will discuss about the Arab conquest over Sindh in 8th century. So let me tell you that critics call this period, means Arab conquest over Sindh, call it the first period of beginning of Sindhi language and literature. But many critics even do not consider this period significant, and those critics are, Akbar Ligari, the historian Akbar Ligari, who writes in his book Sindhi Adab Jo Mukhtasar Jaiz Ho, that this period, means Arab's period, is not necessarily to be included, and according to him, that real history of Sindhi literature began from Sumera's period that comes after the Arab's conquest. So Dr. Abdul Jabbar Junejo also allocates a very little space to this period, and the historian, the critic Badr Dhamrao, does not even include this period in his book Sindhi Adab Jo Muqaddama. So let me tell you more that Arab conquest took place around 711, and Arab, at the 8th century, the governor of Baghdad, George bin Yusuf, he sent the troops under the leadership of a familiar, military name, military, commander. His name was Muhammad bin Qasim. So he was dispatched by the Hajjaj bin Yusuf, the governor of then, to conquer this area of the world. So they came with a planning. They came with all their language and luggage. So the first place Muhammad bin Qasim occupied was Shiraz, and he came there along with and marshaled his troops there and stayed there for more than 6 months. And coincidentally, when Muhammad bin Qasim entered Sindh, it was Friday, a day which is considered to be a very sacred day from religious point of view. Muhammad bin Qasim came along with 6,000 army troops, 9,000 animals, both camels, she camels, and other animals, and he also came with the strong army, And to tell you more, that George bin Yusuf dispatched around 30,000 dirhams. At that time, 30,000 dirhams were a huge amount of money, and not simple to encourage his troops to conquer this part of the world. So Hajjaj bin Yusuf, gave 30,000 dirhams dispatched 30,000 dirhams to Muhammad bin Qasim to help him conquer this part of the world. Now, Muhammad bin Qasim, what he did that, Sindh at that time was, during his conquest, Sindh at that time was a vulnerable region, and it was being ruled by a Brahmin, weak ruler called Raja Dahar, who was the son of a church. So, people of this area were very, sick of his policies and his discriminating attitude to indigenous people. So they viewed the arrival of Arabs or Muhammad bin Qasim, something. They viewed it something as a good omen, and they welcomed it because. Perhaps Raja was the king, then king of Sindh, was not worthy of preserving or holding the crown. So with Arab conquest, we come to know that critics give this period many names. Some critics call it Arab conquest, others call it the Battle of Debel, because Debel was the very place where this battle was ensued for many days, and in the beginning it seemed to be almost impossible for even Muhammad bin Qasim to conquer this place because of the his strategic myopic vision. And other people call this. Other critics consider, especially religious historians and critics, they consider this period as the conquest of good over the evil, because they consider that Sindh previously was indulged in vices and evils, and the people living in Sindh needed to be preached. So that's why Hajjaj bin Yusuf sent Muhammad bin Qasim. So Debel was a very historical place. At that time, the significance of Debel as a state was very much, and it was the biggest city in the east of the Sindh, and even was in ancient time the seaport where the Sindhis could do the business. So before the conquest of Muhammad bin Qasim, people in Sindh, the majority of the people, they were the adherents of Buddha creed, and the Deoband before conquest of the Muhammad bin Qasim was known as Mashru Deoband. So when Arabs came and they conquered it and they ate the fish and be with it and they called it Deoband. Now, after the Deoband conquest, Muhammad bin Qasim moved to Nerun and then Sevistan, currently called Sevan, and then he also defeated the son of Shempri, defeated the son of Raja Dahar, Gopi, at Arod, and now these days the Arod is called Rohri, city Rohri. So this was the conquest of Muhammad bin Qasim over the Sindh. Now, what was the impact of this conquest in terms of literature? It was very huge. For the first time, we came to know that three languages existed. That Arabs spoke, Arabic language. That's why they imposed their own language as official language to the people to whom they conquered. Viewers, let me tell you that Michel Foucault, the 20th century, one of the greatest philosophers of French origin, according to him, that there is an intimate relation between knowledge and power. And that intimate relation determines that which has to stay and which has to command over the other. According to Michel Foucault, that power always dominates over the knowledge, and perhaps this was the reason. That Muhammad bin Qasim, when he conquered Sindh, this part of the world, he imposed Arabic as an official language, and Sanskrit was also there, already existing, and the third language, which was very common and popular language, it was Sindhi. So the result of this conquest was that first time we noticed that the invaders brought their own language and they imposed it, and they mingled too with the indigenous people. Another important thing that we learned that during this period, that some of the states were very popular, and people felt a great sense of pride when they associated themselves with those regions. Now, which are those regions? I would like to share with you that besides these regions that I told you, Arod, Deoband, and Sevistan, and besides this, there were other regions which were very popular because of their. They were also the high place of learning, regions of learning too. Bambhor was there, Gujarat was there, Kathiawar was there, Kutch was there, and Kutch even. Later on, when Sumeros come, the local Sindhis who overthrow the Arabs, and they occupy the land. They occupy they seize the land and they occupy this part of the world, and they establish their own government too. Now, moving on, let me tell you that in literature, what happened that we will notice, especially Dr. Alana, who writes that, who even gives his geography of Sindh during those period, that period, he says that what does he say about the geography or the location of Sindh during that time? I would like to share with you. Now, according to Dr. Ghulam Ali Allana, that it is a recognized fact that the Indus Valley is comprised of the areas including the lands of present central and south Punjab, Kashmir, Daristan region and its Kohistan area, western states of India such as Rajasthan, Gujarat, including Kutch and Kathiawar, up to Mahi River and Aravalli Mountains, and Haryana state in the northwestern region of India. The areas such as Rajasthan, including Jaisalmer, Marwar, Mewar, Jodhpur, and Bikaner, etc. And, and the eastern region of Sindh had eastern dialect branch of Sindhi language of Indus Valley. Now, if one has to really know how could the Sindh look like during that time, this description of Sindh presented by Dr. Ghulam Ali Allana is enough to know. Now, what was the impact of Arab conquest over the literature? Let me share with you what happened and what did Arab conquest did. As I told you earlier that Arabic was the dominant language because it was the language spoken by the rulers themselves, and that's why they imposed it on the indigenous people to learn it. The result was this that the local people got they drew a surprising amount of learning from the Arabic language. They learned the Arabic language. They got command over even Arabic language, and they also started writing in Arabic language too. So I would like to mention especially Dr. Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch because he considers Arab era very significant from the point of view of language development and literature development. I would like to share with you that what Arab conquest did on Sindhi literature too. According to Dr. Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch, that the impact of Arab conquest on Sindhi language and literature was very profound. Language or regional languages, they got central significance. They got huge importance. Different regions, tribes began to give importance to their own languages because a majority of the people in areas were speaking in Sindhi, and that's why they began to prefer their own language because it was very hard for the locals still to get command over or to learn Arabic language, the foreigner language. Though religiously they were very close to this language, but yet they took time to get command over the language. So eventually, when Arab, the invaders, mingled and mixed with the invaded ones, collective. There was the birth of collective language, and according to Dr. Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch, that collective language was Sindhi. Means Sindhi, shot into fame and became most popular language too. And this was a language that became the vehicle of expression for the local people too. He tells more, more about the conquest of Arabs over the Sindh. That according to Dr. Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch, that the first time the Sindh was, a politically consolidated state, and under a solid political system, and different provinces, and the long rule of Arabs, almost more than 250 years rule, that consolidated Sindh as one of the strongest regions of this part of the world. So people coming from far-flung areas, people coming from foreign countries, and they mingled with the Sindhis, and the trade and commerce was enhanced, and the economical and commercial ties, improved between the indigenous people and the people coming from other countries. Social and economical empowerment took place among the local ones, and the local people embraced the religion Islam, and the profound impact of this, embracing of religion was this, that their hearts were enlightened, their souls were enlightened, and they also, beside their own language, they developed some sort of a spiritual attachment with Arabic language too. Even invaders, according to Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch, that invaders themselves learned Sindhi language, and they mixed with the local people, and they were compelled to learn the Sindhi language, because now when they invaded Sindh, they started ruling over the Sindh. They started considering the land, Sindh, as their own land, because they were now mixed with the local people. So the invaders began to own Sindh as their own motherland. Even the Caliph Suleiman, later on the Caliph Suleiman too, even issued the decree to the invaders to stay in Sindh and to plow and harvest there along with the local people. Under one religion, under one religious state, the tribal differences among the, local people narrowed down. Now, this was a huge impact. Earlier, the tribal clashes were there, tribal strifes were there, but now, due to one religion, their tribal differences were narrowed down. Islamic code of living, Shariat, mingled with the social rituals, and new towns and cities developed, especially the special here, a special city deserves a mention, and that is Mansoura, earlier which was the Brahmanabad, and now it was Mansoura, where from these rulers issued decrees, and they dealt with much of the government and state affairs. The local people also began to establish commerce, trade, relationships with foreigners, neighboring countries, and sea routes and landline routes were highly, now connected with, other, borders too, and new sea routes were discovered, and new landline routes were developed in order to enhance the trade and business, in order to enhance the commerce too. Among different languages, some common idioms and proverbs were found. What we find that there even intermarriages took place between the invaders and the invaded ones, between the rulers and the ruled ones. Result of that intermarriages was this, that the rulers were forced to learn Hindi language too. Another psychological impact of intermarriages was this, that mingling of rulers with the ruled one was this, that we come to know that the conqueror Muhammad bin Qasim established Arab populated regions too, and Sindhi, indigenous people started involving or taking part in business. We also come to know that as I told you, that since many people embrace Islam, so Islam was something that was deeply rooted in their hearts, and they started following the tenets of Islam, prayer, fasting, and moreover, we come to know that this was a period, for the first time, according to Dr. Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch, that we noticed the influence of conquerors, especially Arabic influence, on Sindh too. And what was that? That was very simple. That it was the period of translations too. The Holy Quran. Now, this was a landmark achievement of the period, that holy book, holy scripture of Muslims, Holy Quran. It was mutated into Sindhi language. It was translated into Sindhi language. And this happened for the first time, and perhaps this is the reason that it is generally even believed that Sindh is considered to be the Babul Islam, the gateway to Islam, and the first earlier translation of Holy Quran was rendered in Sindhi language, and Sindhi language has this credit too. So the translation of Holy Quran, according to Dr. Ghulam Ali Allana, now I will refer from his book that according to him that the translation of translation of Holy Quran into Sindhi language took place around 8th or 9th century AD. Even Dr. Ghulam Ali Allana even goes forward to say that many treatises were written in Sindhi language on magister, mathematics, even the Sanskrit language, which was also one of the existing languages of the period or era. Even Arab took Sanskrit books. Satraji was one of the special one of the special books that was taken by Abdullah Mukaffar to Baghdad, even to get it translated into Arabic. And the Arabic name of that book was Qalil-e-Damna. And it was the first Sanskrit book to be translated in even Arabic language. Moreover, what do we find that according to now Dr. Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch, that the major influence of Arab conquest over Sindh was this, the introduction of introduction of alphabet. The new words, the new letters were included in Sindhi alphabet. Some letters came to be known and came to be, native letters of, or came to be the home letters of Sindhi language. And those letters came to be known and associated with Sindhi alphabet. And those letters are, I would like to share with you, because this was a major development too during the Arab conquest. How did those letters get birth? With the adding of dots over the letters, the new words were formed. The new letters were formed. So those letters which came to be the included into the alphabet of Sindhi language, they are Se Samar, He Hajam, Ke Khachar, Swat Saub, Zwad Zaif, Zue Toto, Zue Zalim, Enenak, Ken Galicho, Fefanus, and Kaf Kalam. Now, these were the letters which Sindhi language inherited or got from the influence of Arabic language too. Well, Dr. Nabi Bakhsh Khan Baloch even goes forward to claim that